Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We are live. It is New Year's Eve Jubilee, Lollapalooza 2024. If you followed us last year, it was me and 12 ordinary men back to back to back to back to back. But this year, I've got friends on friends on friends. Before I introduce you to our guests, all people that matter and are important to me in my life, I have a quote to share. Here it is. The Lollapalooza effect is when a bunch of different mental habits team up to create a big impact. Charlie Munger. I got a bunch of mental cases here to team up and build life with me. I'm so happy to introduce you to Pete Fournier, Charlie Cina, Ken Jordan, Mike Calhoun, some of the most important people in my life. I was going to say a quick blurb on each person. I met Charlie, years ago at this point, and immediately I respected his work ethic, his heart, how he treated people that I cared, because we met their mutual friends, someone we care very deeply on this show, episode 49, not 69, 49, the real Brad Lee. And I'm a proud customer of his technology, OneTapConnect. So Charlie's here. Pete Fournier, well, I don't know what to say more than I respect him as a partner, as a father, as a friend, and I am proud to be to be working with him and excited about the next 20 years. Ken Jordan was and is supporter Culture Matters, guys. He is actually one of the first people that bought 30 Days of Thought and actually read it. And we've been friends ever since. He's got one of the best podcasts with Joseph Iredell, and they interview. You're all going to be on his podcast. He's amazing. And of course, Mike dropped Calhoun, who Jeremy Adams essentially kidnapped me, brought me to some random guy's house in Florida once named Jimmy Ralph on July 4th. Tried to recruit me into a cult. Turns out they're pretty freaking awesome. Culture matters. Man, Mike, me, well, you know Pete, you know Charlie. You need to know Ken. Ken, Jordan, Charlie, Ken. Charlie knows Pete. Ken, you need to know Pete. I'm losing my mind. Guys, it's 2025. We're talking about our words. Let's go.
Gentlemen,
Let's go.
pleasure to meet all of you. We've been doing this since 5 a.m. Pete,
Wow.
Charlie, we spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
You're a total stud. Pete and Ken, he talks about you guys like, I feel like I already know you. I don't think, Pete, have you and we've never actually spoken on the phone, have we?
Just that three-way call a couple
Three-way.
almost
Yeah.
months ago. Yeah.
And it's just awesome to be able to spend this entire day back to back. Like I did finally make it through my sandwich that I started at 5 a.m. I got one bite between each call, but I've completed the sandwich at this point. And Jay's done a really good job of just interviewing everyone, asking some great questions. Jay, what's your word? Don't you want to kind of extract the words from each individual?
Well, if you don't have one, make one up on the spot or pass the potato to somebody else. But first, I'll share my word. It's intensity for 2025.
Mhm.
For the listeners, you can go to episode 675 and listen to that on why. But in short, I'm taking everything to the next level, and part of actions, right? Speaking louder than words. Part of the reason we've been up, I got up at 4 just to beat Mike and do a podcast real quick, little healthy competition. We've been up to doing this since 5 is to live that word out. So my word for 2024, if anything, was uh I, embarrassment. Embarrassment that I didn't take things to the next level sooner, that I didn't listen well enough to the people that cared about me, both mentees, mentors, those closest, meaning, why did I have to wait till for John Schwartz to pass away on the 16th of September to start really leaning in to introduce all the people I care about? So that's my word for 2025 and 2024. So Charlie Cina, if you had a word for 2024, what would, if you don't have, if you have one, share it. If you didn't, what would it be?
Self-limiting. That's a compound word, by the way.
English professor over here.
Not really.
Why? Why self-limiting?
Well,
Charlie's
as
overachiever.
I believe, and I'm speaking for myself, but as I talk to other people, especially entrepreneurs, I believe that no matter how most entrepreneurs are doing, there's still that voice in the back of your head where those self-limiting beliefs come into play. So I'm saying self-limiting because I believe going into 2025 that this is going to be a year of divine intervention, both spiritually, emotionally, prosperity, both in monetary prosperity and health prosperity. So I'm going to say self-limiting was my word of 2024, and abundance will be my word for 2025. Intentional, compound word, intentional abundance
Mm.
in all areas.
Ken Jordan?
2024 was an interesting year. Transformation is going to be my word. My business, my belief system in certain areas of business when it comes to family and loyalty and things like that were really rattled. I took for granted in some cases some people that were, around me, but I don't know that I took them for granted in the sense I didn't appreciate them. I took for granted the fact that they would always be there. And Jay, you mentioning John as a good friend of yours, just assume people are always going to be there. And I had to transform that philosophy and recognize that relationships, even in business, are consistently a work in progress. And I had to become somewhat of a different person to understand that. However, that led to my word for 2025, which is momentum. And I've been leading into that word. It's a difficult thing to build, but once you have it, talk about taking things for granted. I never want to take my momentum for granted. I feel like as an industry, I'm in the mortgage industry, as an industry, as a mortgage professional, as a team leader, we have a ton of momentum right now, and I want to hold on to it and continue to build on that momentum into 2025.
Pete?
2024, and it's over, so I'll use past tense word. Overwhelmed was 2024. Made a solid amount of money, did pretty well with the brokerage overall, but put everything on my back as opposed to offloading, delegation, implementing systems. It was like, Pete will handle it, whether it made us 5 cents or $500,000 or anywhere in between. So my word for 2025 is diversification. Diversification of my own tasks mixed with delegation, but diversification of my own tasks, diversification of the products that we sell, incorporating multiple product lines, as I always have, but in new product segments, diversification of technology, systems, processes, so that way I don't have a 10,000-pound gorilla weighing me down on a daily basis.
Wow. Mike?
Pete, are you familiar with Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Yes. Read it 2.5 times. I'll say half because before I started talking to Jay on the regular, like 6 months ago, I was like halfway through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for a meme real quick because for 2024, my word was brutal. It was a brutal year. For like all of us are very talented, we're capable, we're experienced, we understand the reward for diligence and persistence. And then think about it, in my current focus, we're in our 10th year. After you've done something for 9 years, you have a lot of expertise and experience in that thing, and momentum. That momentum is very important. It's the thing that allows efficiencies in a model, and you rely on many times when chaos hits, unexpected left field items. Back to you, Ken. Some of the people you thought would always be there decide they want to be you, right? And they go and do their own thing. Almost every challenge you could possibly think was encountered, and it was almost like comedy, just back to back to back. Looking back, I'd never want to go through it again. But also looking back, I don't think I would want to go forward without it have happened. And one of the reasons that I am here today with, in a sense, partnering with Jay on the call for the day with all of you guys, is the largest transformation in the history of our community and our brand and our value transpired this year because of those challenges, and because Jay Doran, who's been beating on my door for the last 6 years, happened to be on my door at an opportune moment where, like, you needed that guy that wanted to be on your team. And Jay's been wanting to be on that team for, like I said, 6 years. I don't even know what he was selling. I'm like, dude, let's go, right? He kept talking about a culture puzzle. I'm like, bro, I don't need a culture puzzle. That's not my issue. I don't even know what that is. You've explained it to me for 6 years, still have no idea. Honestly, Jay, if you handed it to me, probably wouldn't read it. I literally told him that, right? So 2025 or 2024, brutal. It was like the 9 years of experience compressed and boiled down into one single year. And I think that type of year is what either breaks you or makes you great. Because I can tell you this, we have more clarity, we have more enthusiasm, and we have more understanding of what value is for our team, for ourselves, and for our members than we ever have in the history of the organization. So for 2025, the word is value. And I think that the pain and the challenges and things that we think are brutal at the time are that we get through as owners and founders in life, leaders, husbands, fathers. Those are like, without those things, we aren't really becoming more valuable. But because of those things and the way that we handle them, that is like, every time something crappy hits my plate now, I'm like, I am about to become more valuable. I'm about to learn something. Hopefully I'm not going through something I've already gone through, but it is a privilege to be able to be in a spot where you can suffer enough to learn enough and then still be not only alive in the sense of business, but even in a better position than you were before you entered that brutal year. That just speaks to the track record of consistency and dedication and persistence for even a greater period of time than like the organization I lead now, but for the 26, 27 years of just track record. And I think I'm not saying that because of me. I'm saying that because of every single person on this call. Like, the reason we survive is it's because of everything we've always gone through. And the reason we're valuable is the same exact reason. So that's my pedestal, my soapbox moment.
Okay, can I add to that?
Yeah.
I don't want to derail the conversation, but I do think it's great that you said that, Mike, because I this year, Jay, it has that knack for calling you like at that weird opportune moment. And it was the middle of the year when a lot of the challenges I was going through and the the folks that I was working with had left. And how are you doing? And I'm like, dude, it's not great right now, Jay. And well, tell me about it. And I said, well, I had two of my loan officers, someone I've been with for 17 years, got recruited away. And he's like, good. And I'm like,
oh, I know, he did that to me too. And you want to slap him? You're like, good.
I'm like,
why is that good?
You're right. It turned out that was good. But it's so hard to see in the moment.
Well, what did you do to make it good, though? Or what did you not do?
I changed how I relate to my salespeople now. I moved away from the protector shepherd mentality and more towards the, I guess I don't know how to label it, but my job is not to protect you, like just like your kids. Your job is not to keep them from adversity. Your job is to help them through adversity and how to deal with it. And I handle my relationships with my loan officers far differently than I did before. I don't try and take away their pain. I'm a little, I don't want to say colder, but like I definitely approach it different. More accountability. Let's put it that way. That I didn't have before. There was too much kid gloves going on. Before.
What's
Jay,
an example of the kid?
Go
ahead. Yeah.
Well, I just want to continue this because I'm writing these down and I'm actually seeing a pattern, which is interesting. And what's even more interesting is Jay just threw me on the call. And then I talked to Mike yesterday. It's like, oh, are you going to be on that call? So I didn't know if Jay was introducing me to somebody to potentially do business. Like I had no idea. And here we are having what I'm already perceiving and experiencing as a incredible call. That being said, what are your words? Because I'm seeing a pattern here with these words. So what was your word for 24 and what's your word for 25?
Me? Yeah. My word for 2024 is I said embarrassed earlier, but a couple podcasts ago I said resentful.
You did say it. I didn't write it down. So you said embarrassed.
Yeah, but earlier today I said resentful. I think the answer would be unclear if I don't even know which one it is, right? But my word this year is intensity, which I think could also be substituted for like me with like an exclamation mark because but the word is intensity. And one of the things, yeah, so that's my answer. I don't want to pontificate, but like.
Well, I just found it interesting. Like Mike said, brutal and value. I believe, Pete, you said it was you that said overwhelmed and diversification.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, what was your first word for 24?
Transformation.
And
that was your word for 24?
24.
What was for 25?
Momentum.
I think I would like to know where
I
you're
said,
going.
And I said self-limiting, right? And the reason I said that as I'm listening to this is because as I'm listening to all of you in that self-limiting, I want to say, I guess frustrated, embarrassed could fit into that, right? Transformation could fit into that. Overwhelmed could fit into that. Brutal could fit into that. And I believe brutal, when things become brutal, right? That also becomes part of a self-limiting belief. Why is it brutal when somebody like Jay can take the approach to say, good for you? Right? So it becomes all perspective. And then it becomes the intention that you have in taking that situation and flipping it and moving forward in a positive direction. So I don't know, maybe what I just did is elementary, but not for me personally.
I don't think it's no.
As I'm sitting here listening to all of you. And coincidentally, I haven't talked to Pete in several years, but I've known Pete for like I think I met you in 2017, right?
Yeah.
Pete?
Yep.
And I helped Cody do his first event
Wow.
in Tennessee. But all that being said, right? We're guys with various different age groups, different professions, different mindsets, but we're as entrepreneurs, we're really not that far apart. So I find that very interesting so far on this impromptu call.
Yeah, I basically told Charlie, I said, "Are you on the call tomorrow?" He goes, "What call?" I said, No. You're on. I just talked to Jay. You're on the call tomorrow." He goes, "I'm not sure. I don't know if I've heard from Jay about this or not." I said, "Yeah, you're on. You're on. It's like, I think it's in the afternoon or something, but you should plan on being on that call."
Yeah, the goal was to have, because this is a goal, to have a focused three-way discussion for Pete and Charlie to reconnect about things of direct, like, all right, value, right? But this to me is more meaningful because who both of them are as men to me, I would want figure, all right, time overlaps. Charlie should be included in this conversation. Obviously, Pete was already here. Just pop in. Like, let's talk about real things, to me that lead to matter, meaning leads to matter.
Well,
And
let's.
Charlie, if you weren't on this call, I think I wouldn't be going this direction. This is my revelation from what you said, is like, I love what you just said. I think that infers everyone that is on this has a high probability to have our best years ever in 25, 6 because of that perspective and that intention. Because like it's like there's a contrast there, not just because we're being positive or something. It's like self-awareness, sacrifice, and execution. You said self-limiting, that's self-aware, and now you're being more intentional. Mike said brutal, self-aware, and now he's saying value. That's responsibility. Ken said transformation, self-aware of what his behaviors were. Now he's doing something about it. Pete said overwhelmed. That's self-aware. And you said, I just got shit. What did you say?
Diversification.
Yeah, diversification, which is there's responsibility within that because you're delegating responsibility. So uh I would say we're on the cusp, all of us, of stepping into that next level. Like, and that excites me. And I'm so happy that it's recorded and none of it was planned.
Oh, it definitely
Or-
wasn't planned. Like full transparency, I left my office and I was actually going to go look for a new car today, right? Because it's slow and my lease is up, and my wife goes, "You going to look at it?" So I went to go look at the car, and I almost canceled because I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like it's New Year's Eve day, like then because you switched the time a couple times, and I'm like, well, maybe it's not going to work out. And I literally hit traffic, and I'm like, I'm not doing this because I want to be in front of my computer. I committed, right? So
Wow.
again, this is all the self-talk that goes through your brain. And I turned around and I came back to the office about an hour and a half ago, and I'm like, no, screw the car. I committed to the call. I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing on the call, but I committed.
And I thought you had high. I thought you were. I was so admirable of you wanting to have a business meeting on New Year's Eve. I'm like, dude, Charlie's got to be on this call.
Well, and that's the thing, dude. Like,
No.
as I'm saying it, I'm like, I never cancel calls, and I'm thinking it is New Year's Eve, so Jay's changing the time, and not that it was a big change, right? But it's
Sure.
2:00, then it's 1:00, and whatever. And I'm saying, well, maybe it's not convenient, but long story, short.
Oh no, I just effed that up because I haven't slept. That was just
Is we're here, but yeah, and it's obviously not an accident. But again, as I'm looking at these words.
Wow.
There's no question. Like, I could sit here and change my words out with Mike, and I'd be on the same course. So I could change them out with Pete, right? It was overwhelming. I mean, there was shit that hit me this year that was completely unexpected, much of which wasn't to my own doing. Like, stuff just came out of nowhere that had to take my eye off the ball and deal with it. So I think it was to your point, Mike, or maybe it was you, Ken, like, what do you do? you just buckle down and you go through the mental, physical, and emotional anguish to get the ball over the the first and goal line. But yeah, it's
Well,
it's
the
powerful.
ironic part
It's a
about
powerful
the
exercise.
entire thing is the simplicity of just taking 1 year and adding it with the other year,
Mm.
and you come up with brutal value.
I want to ask you, Charlie, about something. Because earlier today, the word integrity came up, and you just said, I never cancel a meeting. I looked up the definition of integrity because I wasn't quite clear on what it actually was. It's always talked about how important it is, and it talked about wholeness and so on. Why is it important to you to not cancel a meeting?
Well, because you can't get your time back. The most expensive thing I'm going to give you is time. Right. So I have this little saying that I put together. What's our objective in life? You want to get people's attention. Right. So whether I got your attention or you got my attention, right, there's a mutual respect. So now I got your attention. Now I'm going to get you to pay attention. Hey, Jay, this is what I do. Oh, Charlie, come on my podcast, whatever, and vice versa. Right. But now I got you to pay attention. And once I get your attention and I get you to pay attention, my goal, if I'm out there doing business, is eventually you're going to pay me for my attention. Now, I don't mean literally. You're like right now, you've paid me, right, with attention. You've introduced me to Mike. Mike and I are now building a relationship. I haven't seen Pete in 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Right now, we're not besties, but I've always enjoyed Pete. Like he pops up on the screen, I thought it was him because there's not many Pete Fournier. Did I pronounce
Yeah,
that?
very good, Charlie.
Right. But what I'm saying is this is awesome. So when I say I would never cancel a meeting, right, subconsciously I'm saying, well, I need to go get a car. Yeah, I'll work 24/7, even to the point to where I put my wife on the brink of getting angry, which I'm trying not to do. That's one of my best intentions going into 2025. But all that being said, yeah, I don't like canceling meetings unless it's something that's out of my control. Because I believe when you commit to a meeting, it's a person's time, and when you cancel, like nothing pisses me off more when someone cancels 10 minutes before a meeting. Now, things happen, don't misunderstand me, but I can't rebook that time or, whatever. So that's just something that I live my life by. If I commit to the meeting, I want to be on the meeting.
Ken, what do you think about the integrity, and or do you call
Integrity
that something
for
else?
me, I find that when I'm outside of my integrity, which is when I'm not doing what I know I should be doing, or when I'm not doing what I like, to Charlie's point, what I committed to doing, it's a very distinct discomfort in me that it's not always, I'm not always super aware of it, but when I sit down and think about it, if I'm in a level of emotional discomfort, 99 times out of 100, it's because I'm outside of my integrity. I didn't do something that I know I was supposed to do. Whereas being in integrity is doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. It could be anything. It could be health related. It could be business related. It could be family related. All the things that we know we're supposed to be doing, and we're imperfect. So we're going to find ourselves outside of integrity pretty regularly. So if your anxiety is high, if you're not feeling your best, if you're down, first thing I check is, am I outside? Is there something I'm procrastinating on? Is there something that I'm not doing that I know I'm supposed to be doing?
You're not compliant with yourself.
What's that?
You feel that you're not compliant with yourself.
Yeah, I'm not in alignment, correct, with myself. And the cool part is, and this is something my first coach taught me, is that all it takes is one action to move you back into integrity, and I immediately feel better. And I tell my kids, I tell the people that I work with, that action is the antidote. Action is the antidote to that feeling that you get when you know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it only takes one action to get back on track.
Now, here's what's funny. We're talking about this today. I'm working out, get done, I'm stretching this morning, and I'm listening to this video. And I don't even remember what the name of the video was. But up popped, I don't know if you could see this, right? This little ship wheel.
Yeah. There's a little blurry.
I can't even see the title, but it says something that the noble enlightenment or something of that nature. And it says, right view, know the truth. And I think this has to do with Buddha or some type of spiritual teaching. Right intention, free your mind from evil. Right speech, say nothing that hurts others. Right action, work for the good of others. Right livelihood, make an honest, and living, bring value. Right effort, resist evil. I cut my screenshot off, so I can't see what the other word is, but right mindfulness, right? Having pure thoughts. And then I think the other one is concentration, right? So again, was that an accident? I have no idea why I took that screenshot this morning, but now I do, because I believe that's exactly what we're talking about. Especially when you said, emotional discomfort, right? If you have the right view, the right intention, the right speech, the right action, there's no way you're going to have, and you're disciplined, there's no way you're going to have emotional discomfort.
I have a question for Pete. Pete, what are you actively doing to solve the diversified delegation strategy for 2025?
Yeah, so I'm in the insurance business, whether you guys know or not, and I've always been my own best employee. 80-something% closing rate. I know every product there is. I write $1 gajillion a year in premium, and that's been like golden handcuffs for myself. Been working in the business, not on it, for years and years. And to Charlie's point, we haven't talked in a while, but we talked insurance back in the day. And he knows a lot of the same people I do. And in 2021, I started this company on the aspect of treating the agents with integrity, obviously treating the clients with integrity, staying on the same topic. But the problem that stemmed with that is, let me just fucking do everything myself. I'll take care of this client. I'll take care of this. I'll take care of that. Whether it made us 5 cents or 50 grand or what, it didn't matter. I was doing everything. And in talks with Jay and in like multiple strategy sessions, whether it's at 7 a.m. or at 9:30 at night on a Saturday, we came up with some in-depth ideas of Pete's going to offload his client base to his internal team, to his family. Again, to Ken's point, not to coddle these people, but to give them maybe an edge over the competition, because there's hundreds of insurance agencies out there. So me delivering the opportunity to these salespeople to say, listen, you can learn off the backs of Pete's good work over the last 14 years with his clients, and these will be soft handoffs. And selfishly for me, I'm not taking calls at 11 o'clock at night from Joe that I wrote a life insurance policy on in 2016 anymore. So that's a big kind of step back that I took in terms of like, okay, I'm going to let the kids fly out the nest, and I'm going to do it on my own resources that I built since 2010. A little scary, but I can breathe easier at night because I'm not facilitating those conversations on a daily basis between me and client. It's now I'm, one level removed. That, and second most importantly, implementing more technology. I was very technology agnostic in the beginning, starting the company. Use whatever CRM you want, use whatever dialer you want. And this is the dichotomy of like integrity. I didn't want to sell software to my people because I think it was disingenuous, which was the wrong way to think about it. I can still sell software to my people that betters their life and also keeps the ecosystem cohesive.
How many of these agents do you have?
Over 400.
How many
So
of them are performing out of the 400?
About 127
Perform.
perform.
And they're all distributed.
Yes. And then, I'm breaking down Jay's philosophy of, you have targets, you have warriors, and you have like the Grand Poobah, right? We have 468 contracted, 127 of them produce, 30 something of them I can trust with my client base, and 3 I would allow them to sell my mom.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then what CRM do you recommend they use?
So now we constructed our own. We called it the ATIG, All Things Insurance Group, ATIG RMS, our own relationship management system. So it's dialer, CRM, emails, nurture campaigns. It has a lot of me in it. This is how Pete would text a client. This is how Pete would email a client. So all of that is now automated, as opposed to them being like, how would you respond to this? Because that took up
all that for you.
Jay's team.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
And so interesting. 400 of those agents on that platform?
Soon to be. Yeah, we officially we're beta testing right now with our internal sales agents, our captive quote unquote staff, but our hardcore release is January 15th.
I do want to check.
When he described it earlier, you almost sounded like you had 400 balls in the air. But you really have a great team. You have a great base of agents. It's just really a mindset thing for you on leveraging yourself through them.
My conscious, I would say our team. Not my team. I wouldn't say it's my team. It's our team. Pete, we're business partners, so.
Yep.
I just don't like the way that sounds. My team. It's like my kid, right? No, it's our child.
Unless they're being
Pete, we've invested in Pete. I think Pete will be one of those people that people talk about in 20 years in his industry, because for obvious reasons, for anyone that follows him. Charlie, I know you figured that out many years ago based on just your respect for Pete. But
Wilmington, North Carolina.
North Carolina, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny, Ken mentioning, I know we haven't talked yet, Ken. I'm looking forward to future conversations.
Absolutely.
The coddling, nurture. I've always been kind of like a hard ass, and then I started my own complete cohesive company outside of any hierarchy or family. You know what I mean? Same thing in real estate. You have Keller Williams, and then you have an agency under Keller Williams that you run your own team that way, but it's still under the umbrella. I'm now the umbrella. So the dichotomy of that was like, oh, it's my umbrella. Let me baby all these fucking people so that way they can start making money, and they thank Pete and whatever. And 1, I was dying financially from it, but 2, I was dying from the sheer fact that like I'm working 80 hours a week and we're getting no results because Pete's doing everything anyway.
Now, during the switch, Pete, did things just continue to excel, or did you take a couple step back to have to hand the ball off in an effort to move forward?
So handed the ball off twice incorrectly, and still love these people personally, but they weren't the right people to just set in that management intermediary role. I'd have a beer with them, but my focus early on was like fast, execute, implement, let's go, hand the ball off. We're going to keep running. And I didn't do enough analysis of what I was giving them role wise, and 2, their execution of it. It was like, report back to me on Friday and tell me how people are doing. And it was like, oh, they're doing great. And then you look up in 6 months and you're like, nope.
Yeah, usually CEOs are seeing the good in the individual, and they're seeing what's possible. And if it all goes right, they're not, because you're only calculating like that win. You never allow the negative to creep in, and the negative is real, or the failure, the break points are real, but we just want the best to happen. You know what I mean? And those are blinders. I mean, I suffer from the exact same thing. Like, I'm too quick to throw somebody in that has, yes, good attributes, but their bad attributes really are going to make us fail, ultimately. My wife says you're just not allowed to hire anybody ever again.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same.
That's probably my least favorite thing to do is hire people. I love people. You put me in a room of strangers, I'll come out knowing everybody. But to
Great
hire
point.
somebody and take them through that interview process, that is like kryptonite for me. I don't enjoy with that one little bit.
One other failure that I had for 2024, I'm sure all of you, based on your businesses, feel this way, is I allowed people to make not so much financial decisions for me, but sway me towards well, it's okay, you'll make it up in renewals, or it's not that bad, it'll be better next week. And getting into the mindset of like, yeah, you're right, we'll be fine, we'll give it another week, we'll let them continue to fucking spend all our whatever it is. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm the sole owner. It's all on my credit card. Like, so being able to do what Ken mentioned in the beginning of separating church and state, and maybe being a little colder, or being like, listen, no offense, it's my company, you're not paying the bills, here's how we're going to do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did.
Well,
I want Ken,
fuck.
if Ken could elaborate though, or on one thing. It sounded like, Ken, you were more direct than in the past.
But exactly what Pete said. I had one of the loan officers that left. In our business, we have something called an MSA, which is a marketing service agreement with real estate companies. And she had a long-standing MSA. It was $3,000 a month, and we were getting 2 loans a month. And I know we're not supposed to, measure the MSA based on the production per se, but the reality was we were spending, if there were 300 basis points in revenue coming in the door, 120 of it was going to the loan officer and 140 of it was going to the MSA. And that was before I paid my first processor. And I let that go on for way too long. And when I finally put an end to it, because it was just so expected that we were going to let this thing go on, that created friction. It created conflict, and the conflict, I shot away from it instead of, and who knows, going into it head on 2 or 3 months earlier, the result may have been the same, but it was something that had to change, and I had to change in order to make that decision, to make that change.
Wow. Ken and I should go bowling.
I'll tell you, from a character standpoint, you guys have so much similar. There's a lot of value. I mean, there's a reason I've been friends with Ken for, it feels like 10 years, but it's less. It's like 8, 7. But
where are you, Ken?
You guys should go bowling for sure. Yeah.
Why bowling?
If people bowl, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that
arbitrary
phrase of speech. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're too literal today. Oh my God. It's crazy.
It's okay.
Oh, actually, don't play. What was it? Shit, I just lost my train of thought.
Don't play any racket sports. I'll mess you up.
He's like the top. Yeah, he's like the top 1% or in that, or
big
something.
pickleball guy, Pete.
I play some pickleball. I played pro racquetball for a hot second. Big tennis guy growing up. Yeah. One thing that I'm super confident as, and if I pick up a racket or a paddle, I'll probably whoop your ass if you're not a pro.
You're poor kids.
Not that kind of paddle.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad's got the paddle again.
They hit By the way, they're under the bed.
Everybody, like, I mean this deeply. Ken, Jordan, and Joseph Iredell, it couldn't make it for this session. He'll be on the next one in 20 minutes or so. But they have a podcast together, man. I'm telling you, I've sent them. I don't even know how much you could tell, but everybody I can get on there, I love, because they're so dynamic. As a friend, they were friends in college. They don't need anything from their guests. They're just like, we have probably one of the funniest episodes of the podcast. It's our team titled it "No Holds Barred." I didn't even tell him, Ken, what the title. I don't touch that. Yeah. But so you could check that out. It's like 770 or something. But
a lot of fun.
I would love to see all you guys, one-on-one, group, whatever, on their podcast.
So would I.
They're hilarious. Yeah.
Where are you, Ken?
I'm in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Nice. Delco.
Gotcha.
My sister went to Del Val.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Jay, you got a very oh, well, that's where you're from. You have a
Well,
very high
I'm from
concentration.
Newark, but when I moved to Philadelphia, I had two connections: Gino Stakes, the son, and Jen Groover, who Ken knows, I think.
I'm just saying,
And
like
that's
that
that's like having
PA.
the two that's like having the two best connections ever for like, and then it just whatever from there, right? But the power of that's when back in the day a personal Facebook page was everything if you knew. So I just did a quick short back in the day. It was like when I was in Philly, I thought culture mattered. I friended 5,000 people like central to that area. Real estate more in like the sales professions that would kind of, the doors open. If you want to go speak at a real estate office, you basically just have to walk in and say, "Hey, I have something to say." And so I friended like laser focused, connected with everybody, and that was big. And I would post. I used to say, post so much that if they love you, if they hate you, they'll unfriend you. If they love you, they'll want to marry you. And that was the third principle in I called it the Facebook Five. I don't remember all the principles, but I mean, this is going back 2016, 17, 18. Anyway, so yes, a lot of great people, and coincidentally, Pete was born in North Jersey. So, anyone listening to this in Jersey knows we both were from our accents. But yeah, I know a lot of people in Philly and Jersey. It's crazy, silly. So don't hold it against me. I'm a Floridian now.
So who are you selling for, Pete? In the sense you said you're your own brokerage. Who's the provider?
The insurance carrier. So we have over 70 insurers in our portfolio.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and we just added a property and casualty division. So now, officially, as of 2025, All Things Insurance Group is literally all things: life, health, retirement, P&C, commercial, business, everything under the sun with the word insurance in it.
Now my son's in that business. Pete, it's been a minute since we talked, but a couple
Yeah.
years, he got his life, then he went and got his PNC, and I think he's got his health. And he went to work for a guy that's well established here with State Farm.
Sure. Yeah.
Because where Vegas is positioned right now, he'll go in and make 10 calls or take 10 calls. He can't get deals written. He can't get deals written like the insurance market. And I don't know if it's just here. That's why I'm asking you the question. I mean, is it tough to write certain policies in certain parts of the country?
It depends on the market, like where Jay is at, and I'm speaking from like a 15,000 foot overview on the property and casualty because it's not my personal specialty, but I wanted to be all things, so we added it. Depending on the claims history in that given location or the boom or bust of the location, like Vegas, Henderson, there's so much real estate being put up. I don't, especially from a captive company like a State Farm, a Progressive, stuff of that nature. If they are too invested in that particular area, and then a tornado hits Henderson County or something, they are fucked. So I think that's part of the problem. Like where Jay's at in Naples, he's going to spend 25% more no matter what, just because he has a Florida zip code versus anything else. And that's the one that it's kind of like, if you want life insurance, a tobacco user is going to spend more money than a non-tobacco user. Same principle. It's just home, auto, commercial, very regionally determinate based on pricing, approvals, that kind of thing.
I know you're a guy, but I'd love my son to talk to you. If there's
happy to chat
within your company, that would be great. I'll set that up.
Absolutely. And my PNC team, full circle in the Northeast, their main office is in Philly.
Right on.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
Mike,
I have a very nuanced question for Pete.
Sure.
So, Pete, so let's talk about, like, say, all your property insurance carriers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When there is, let's just say, you just said there was, what did you call it? Hurricane? What was it? Not hurricanes. It was storms.
Tornado. Yeah.
Tornado. Yeah. Tornado comes along, takes the roof off a building. There's an insurance claim filed. In any way, does that create, is that good for you, bad for you, or neutral?
Neutral. So There are a couple niche, and again, 15,000 foot overview because home auto commercial is not my expertise, but there are some instances where there will be ambulance chasers in the property and casualty space, knowing that they have a niche for the Dust Bowl of Oklahoma or Florida.
Yeah.
You know, as claims happen.
For real estate specifically, like when there is a leaky faucet or a leaky pipe that floods from maybe it's a multifamily or whatever, floods, creates an issue, tornado rips off a roof, and somebody steps in and from a legal standpoint wants to obviously wring out the policy for everything it's worth. Is that still a neutral activity for you?
Yeah, I'd argue neutral and swaying towards positive because
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, good. So good.
I was just going to say the real individuals, that's where the service aspect comes into play on the property and casualty side, which is why it would sway a little bit more towards positive. There's only so much we can do, but.
Well, so the more service you provide in a time of hardship to maximize the claim to get the individual compensated for getting the repair done and inconvenience and, you know, the whole thing, the more that your client loves you, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Same thing on the life side, facilitating a death claim or an illness or anything.
So would you be open to a strategic partnership with a law firm that has specialized in that for like the last 15 years?
Yes, absolutely.
As many of them as well. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, this is valuable. We want to make sure we get him with Austin.
In closing, can you each share the fastest way that our listeners can connect with you, or you're all one tap away?
Yeah, Charlie.
If you can,
he just did it, Charlie.
Listen. I was at a business networking with Hess, and I didn't know what to do with my hands. I hadn't networked in years. This is all new for me. I felt more confident that I had this. I felt listen, I could be socially awkward, okay? What am I telling you? You all know this.
His phone number. He was so proud of it. He sent it to me again.
Yeah, obviously the reason I picked that is because I respect Charlie. I've seen him work. One thing I had a revelation in the last 2 years is like I only want to work with people that work.
Charlie, you made him look
good. So we're I'll just finish this thought and then digress. And as someone that, live a bit, as my wife puts it, I could be a bit too abstract. Just like right now. And so it feels good knowing that like when they look at that one tap, it says who I am and what I'm about, and at least frames me as credible. Because sometimes I get excited, talk too fast, use words that I shouldn't. Some of my insecurity comes out, and I'll talk too expressively, and so just it felt good. So I ended up, I had fun. I went up to this one guy that looked lonely, and that sounds a little awkward, but I was like, hey,
he prayed.
I prayed on this guy, like, hey, I don't, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, I don't know how to talk to people.
Didn't pray for him.
But then I gave him, I was like, hey, let's connect. And it was easy. And anyway, so yeah, we're all one tap away. But if each person can tell our audience how to connect with you, whether that's Instagram, whatever you use, please do that. And yep. Charlie, you want to go first?
Well, Charlie, we have something for you. Remember the gentleman that we were on with earlier that was talking about the QR codes?
That was Matt. That was Matt McHale.
Yep. Yeah, but it made me want to think or bring this to light for Charlie. So Charlie, when we are working on the OneTap, We've got to create a verification seal or something that helps to validate that when they're creating an automatic transfer of the contact information, that there are no malware elements coming over with it, for the confidence factor, because now they're starting to kind of like be very they're creating caution and awareness for anything that is automatically being added to the phone, right? So scan this QR code, download this person's contact record. If there's anything that we can do on the front end of there that's like verified, or how when you receive a Gmail email, it says, it's been scanned and it's verified, like it's clean. It can be super simple, but ensuring that as the contact record comes over, it's good or whatever. I don't know how you do that. I just think, man, that is very, very relevant, because I don't allow anyone to send me their contact record. I always have them text me and shoot me their email, and I'll store it, right? Because I'm super cautious with what hits my phone. We need to figure that out, so that like you're one of the only ones that's saying, hey, all of our contact records are clean or whatever it is. Because he was talking about people putting stickers over like QR codes. It's getting
Well,
weird.
yeah, that's a deeper conversation, and we have a resolution to that. But the beauty about what we do is A, you can certainly use a smart card. B, you could use a QR code. C, if it's Apple to Apple now, it could be airdropped or bumped, right? And you can text it or email it. And there is a certain, and I'm not the tech guy, I'd have to bring my partner into the conversation, but there is a certain level of.
When it transfers, does it go via Bluetooth, or does it actually hit the cloud and come back down?
No, it's Bluetooth. It's near frequency communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's the same. It's the same thing. My understanding is almost like Apple Pay.
Mm-hmm.
So it works seamlessly on Apple phones. It also works on Androids. The difference with Androids is they do have the ability to turn on or turn off their near frequency communication.
I just think it's something that we would want to keep at the forefront of like consideration and development. How do we tackle the messaging or even the tech aspect of it, so that it doesn't create some sort of a adoption or consideration on usage, right?
Yeah, the good news about what we're doing is it's still a very personal approach, right? There's still the art of human contact.
Yeah.
So this isn't Pete probably wouldn't put his QR code with all his personal information on a billboard. Although he potentially could.
But what
right?
if Pete? I'm not worried. Like, Pete's not going to put anything on there that he doesn't want me to have. But what if Pete loads something on there that he wants from me? Right?
Well,
That's
yeah. Again, we can go down that rabbit hole, but that's like saying, how did the Pentagon get hacked, or Halliburton, or any of these other big, or American Express database get hacked, right? I mean, there's always an issue, but the whole purpose and how we've designed OneTap is it's really not only replacing the business card, but it's, I like to call it high tech and high touch, right? So you're although Jay could share your information with somebody else, it's more of a direct connection versus a mass email blast or a robocall campaign, right? That's not what OneTapConnect is about. It's still going to be a one-on-one interaction with somebody that you potentially know or have met at the first point of contact, where there's now engagement and permission to transfer that information, book an appointment, and start a conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe we just get you guys, Mike, a giant ass cybersecurity policy. Shameless plug.
By the way, you heard me say something where
Guy Pete, man, now I know.
listen, those are worth every penny.
Wow.
Not only from the cybersecurity side, but my director of ops came to me a bit ago, back in January, February, and said, "Hey, we need to get this policy and that policy and this policy." And I'm like, "How much?" And I forgot what he said, right? 1,800 a year or $2,000 a year, whatever it was. I go, "For all the money we spend, do whatever you think we need to do." And it was, it was one of the best things that we did. So yeah,
That was such a good response.
no question.
Who cares if everything gets screwed up? You have a policy to cover it. You know what Pete's policy is? Pete has a great policy. It applies to everything. Have a great policy.
Yes.
That's why they call him Pete, because he'll repeat it 100 times and then close the deal.
Ken Jordan, where can people follow you online? And don't say OnlyFans.
On MySpace, or you can hit me up on AOL chat. You can find me there. No,
I love this
Facebook,
guy.
Easy to find on Facebook, Ken Jordan. Instagram, it's actually real name Bill. I like to really mix it up. And K Jordan at PrincetonMortgage.com. You should be able to find me. I'm all over the internet, so you'll find the good and the bad.
How about Pete?
At Peter J. Fournier, literally everywhere. Fournier, at Peter J. Fournier. And then if you need a policy, the best policy, allthingsinsurancegroup.com.
Mike?
I don't go on social media, but if you want to go, where is this again? It's LinkedIn, it's just Mike Calhoun, and it's Twitter, Mike Calhoun, and Instagram, it's MD Calhoun, but I'm never going to be there.
Charlie, you're a BA, baby. You're badass.
I'm just not going to go there because I get sucked into it. And it's like a time vortex. I refuse.
The way that you connect with Mike is in Dallas, and you can email him and
you know what? Is it okay if I give him the link to
I think
scheduler? Is that better?
Whatever you prefer.
Here's how you get in touch with me. Callwithmike.com. That's it. You want to have a call? Callwithmike.com.
That's good. I like that.
That is great. Charlie?
Damn, I'm going to go by Call with Charlie. I learned something on this call.
There we go.
Very good.
I'm OneTapConnect.com or Charlie Cina, Cina, Charlie Cina, at Charlie Cina on all my social media, at CharlieCina.
If you're listening to this episode, share this with a friend that needs to take a real good hard look at their peer group and who's in their life. And if it's not at this level of energy, get them out. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.